would say to me, come on, Yanis, but Labour will be better than the Tories. No, the Labour Party has never had this degree of authoritarianism in its midst. There was this mayor in North England who attended a screening of Ken Loach's fantastic movie, and he was still thrown out. That's fascism. Our party went from 4% to 36%, and we formed the government. And in the first 5 months, we stuck to our guns. We were true to the spirit of the manifesto that had gotten the mandate from the people. And when we crashed with the most powerful forces in the universe, like the International Monetary Fund, the European Central Bank, Wall Street, the City of London, Frankfurt, the whole cabal of powerful people, and finances in particular, we held a referendum. And the question was, do you want us to keep fighting or not? Should we give in? Yes or no? And the answer was no. 62%. We had gone from 4 to 36 to 62, right? And what happened that night? My comrade and Prime Minister at the time decided to surrender, effectively to overthrow the people. The people had given him a mandate of... What was the mathematically inevitable outcome of that? The destruction of the left. The people they don't even want to look at me. I didn't betray them because I resigned that night. But you know what? They don't care. They say, you lot gave us hope, and then you betrayed it. And I don't care whether you signed or you didn't sign. So now what we have? We have fascists in parliament. We have an ultra-right-wing conservative party that is in cahoots with the fascists in government. And we have the left that is... we are reeling now, and we will be, sort of languishing in this magma of discontent and failure for another 10 years at least.
And I think that's what's most worrying to me about the Labour Party and the prospect of a Keir Starmer government, right, is because a Keir Starmer government will be a government of the liberal centre. I mean that deliberately. A centrist.
Are you sure?
Well, it's hard to know what his type of government he's going to have because...
I think he's probably going to veer towards the ultra-right very soon.
Because, I think the answer...
Looking at the authoritarianism of the Labour Party has never had this degree of authoritarianism in its midst. Even under Tony Blair, there were people like Tony Benn and Jeremy Corbyn. They were never thrown out. Yeah, there was, of course, a dominant cast of right-wingers in the Labour Party. But it was a broad church. Now it's not. Now, there was this mayor in North England, I don't remember his name, who attended a screening of Ken Loach's fantastic movie.
Jamie Driscoll.
And he was still thrown out.
Yeah.
That's fascism.
Okay.
And of course you have Rachel Reeves.
A product of the financial sector, yeah.
You have Rachel Reeves, who comes out, I was listening to BBC Radio 4's Today program last week, and she came out to explain the U-turn on the green investment program of 28 billion, which is, by the way, a drop in the ocean. But nevertheless, okay, look, we can discuss whether it was a good program, should be dropped or not. I don't care why she dropped it, even that she dropped it. You know what really irks me? The reason she gave. She said the Tories have maxed out the credit card of the state. George Osborne must have been laughing his head off, because this is the stupid, toxic lie that he was peddling, that the state's budget operates like a credit card, and if you're in the red, you have to cut down. That was the whole of the Australian logic. Rachel Reeves has adopted this magnificent, toxic lie of austerity before moving to 11 Downing Street. So what is she going to do when she moves in there? I mean, my goodness, spare us of this Labour Party. Whoever you are, nature, society, God, whoever.
Yeah. The rhetoric is strikingly similar, actually, to that employed by the Conservatives in advance of the 2010 election, right? That essentially, you have failed to fix the roof while the sun was shining. We are going to have to come in and fix the economic mess that you have created.
And they're doing exactly the same.
Yeah, and that's what the Labour Party is copying, right? They're copying that political rhetoric at the moment.
They're not even doing that. I prefer the Tory rhetoric.
Do you?
Firstly, because they are class conscious. They are loyal to their social class. Who is Labour loyal to? They are trying to tell the British bourgeoisie and aristocracy, don't trust the Tories, trust us?
I think so, yeah.
Well, these old men in the clubs of London, look at them and laugh at them. They may consider them useful idiots and quite useful, but they will never trust them. They may, like Tony Blair's government, it was excellent, splendid for conglomerates and corporations and so on. For Rupert Murdoch, who even supported Tony Blair, he may even support Keir Starmer tomorrow. But Rupert Murdoch thinks of them as weasels. They can't take them seriously, because nobody likes a traitor of the class that they supposedly represent. No one likes a traitor, especially the one who benefits from the traitor.
So Keir Starmer wins that election, let's say, I don't know, a landslide, maybe it's like 97, whatever it's like, but nonetheless, he has a significant majority in Parliament. And I'm going to expect and predict that his political answers will not rise to the scale of the challenge, not least because they are essentially the neoliberal economic settlement that we've had in this country for the last 30 years. So how on earth can you rise to the challenges that have been delivered by the same system, by turning back to that system? Nonetheless, the electorate says, okay, we gave you a chance, you have failed. We placed our hope in you, you've let us down. What's the most likely political vehicle they will be able to turn to instead? Let's assume it's the Conservative Party that has gone through its battle for its ideological soul, has ended up in the grip of Suella Braverman, Kemi Badenoch, some kind of populist right-wing politician. And we could end up with the extraordinary scenario of going from, let's say, a 200-seat Labour majority in the space of one parliament to a resurgent populist right. I think Keir Starmer has to be incredibly conscious of that fact and that risk. And I don't know if he is.
I think that you're being too kind to Keir Starmer. I simply don't think there is much happening between his ears, except a burning ambition to move into 10 Downing Street.
Power.
I have seen nothing ever coming from him which can be imagined as empirical evidence that there is any analytical thinking going on in his brain, in his mind. And if it is, it's very well hidden. But you know what? I think what you just said, which is completely correct, answers the question you put to me earlier about how is it that we are in a constant crisis of the capitalist economic order, and yet it's only the right that succeeds. Well, when the left is represented by somebody like Keir Starmer, what else do you expect? Especially when you have people like Rachel Reeves and Keir Starmer that are struggling to present themselves as more royalist than the king, because they need to go the extra mile in order to prove to the establishment that they're not a threat to them. So in a sense, they're going to be more right-wing than the Tories, because the Tories don't need to prove to the establishment that they're Tories. So they can give a little bit more money to the NHS without being taken to task by the Murdoch press, right? I very much fear that the Keir Starmer Labour government, you see, many people say to me, come on, Yanis, but Labour will be better than the Tories. No, not necessarily. When it comes to Ukraine, the never-ending war of Ukraine, I mean, Keir Starmer, more so than Sunak, seems to believe that we have to, as the West, we have to keep going until we take Moscow. Without our soldiers fighting, Zelensky's soldiers taking Moscow, that means a never-ending war. That's Keir Starmer. Keir Starmer has been complicit in the genocide in Gaza from day one to this very moment when we're chatting. So why would the Tory government be worse?
A fair question, I think. Before we
And you know what? I prefer to have bastards in power who claim to be bastards representing the aristocracy than bastards in power who claim to be representing the working class.
And in denial of their status as bastards.